Hi everybody, welcome to Des and Lauren. We're going to be speaking about your drinking water supply. But before we get started, before we get into this article, which is from News 24, I'd like to ask you, where do you think the cleanest drinking water supply is in the country? Which city can take that label and say they have the cleanest drinking water?
And this is specific to cities in the country, this article, because News 24 has secretly or behind the scenes gone and sampled tap water for the past month.
This is the kind of journalism I like.
Yes. Now, I don't know who they used to do this, whether it's manipulated or not. I'm not going to get into that because I can't debate that. I don't have the information, but it's by Philip de Wet and Mia Spies. So it looks like it's independent people, journalists that have been doing this. And the headline says, we've been quietly testing drinking water qualities in 6 cities for a month. And here's what we found. So please tell us in the comments first whether you think that your city has got the best quality drinking water. I think we might have an avalanche of complaints.
I don't know. I mean, we've traveled the country and drunk tap water everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. In all of these cities, for
We
sure.
have indeed, and we can taste differences in the water.
But I think people are going to be shocked. There's 2 cities with problems,
Yes.
and they might be shocked as to one of these.
In early June, Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunu released an interim look at South Africa's water infrastructure and promised the full audit of the water system, the Blue Drop report in July. That document, key to triggering interventions where people are at risk of disease and illness from their drinking water, has yet to be published. Last week, the Department of Water and Sanitation told us it is now due for release only before the end of September, in part due to load shedding. But since late June, News 24 and Network 24 have been drawing and testing samples of water in South Africa's biggest cities to independently verify the quality of drinking water. With funding from Truth First, a central lab partner, and a network of satellite laboratories all over the country, have tested weekly samples from one tap in each city for the most critical standard indications of biological or chemical trouble. What we have found has been extremely reassuring for city dwellers, in sharp contrast to the overall national situation. So it helps to live in a metro in this instance, people.
Yeah, definitely, except for 2 metros specifically. And in the sub-headlines it says that our Cape Town and Bloemfontein sites have thrown up some red flags. And there is some variability at our Kabera tap, but the Gauteng cities and Durban fared very well. So did you expect Cape Town to raise red flags? The best run city in the world, hey? Well, this is what's being sold, right?
Yes, but if anyone lives overseas, what's your water situation like there?
Many overseas countries, it's terrible.
I
So
don't know.
you buy drinking water.
I have never traveled. So
Many countries overseas, you don't have good potable water. So South Africa is unique to that, actually.
I've just grown up with rumors that Europe hasn't got good quality drinking water, and people are used to in the habit of buying water.
Yeah,
I don't know
correct.
that firsthand, though. I don't think you know that firsthand either.
No, I don't know that firsthand. But based on people living overseas and what those governments say, don't drink the tap water, use it for other things.
There's good news that there's no risk of cholera or any bacteria from any of the city taps we tested. Across more than a month of testing, we detected coliforms, a broad category of bacteria, in only 1 sample drawn in Cape Town. And that was at what is considered a safe level for drinking water. While Cape Town says that samples over the last 12 months were clear, our results suggest there's no fecal contamination of any of the water systems we checked. So no risks of the likes of cholera. So that's good news overall. We have never found a trace of one of the most feared waterborne bacteria, E. coli. So that's good news. In other words, at least the taps in the relatively affluent suburbs of the 6 cities were tested. There's no need to boil drinking water and no reason to worry about picking up disease from the water.
Yeah, but this gives you a clue. It was the taps were tested in affluent areas. Interesting.
Only Johannesburg and Durban passed the turbidity test. I don't even know what that
Dirt.
is. Oh.
So suspended particles in the water.
In Bloemfontein and Cape Town, we found problems. Turbidity measures what water looks like, literally how clear it is. That is not a big deal in itself, experts say, but turbidity is a key measurement for 2 important reasons. It could point to trouble somewhere in water treatment that should be investigated, and it could mean people avoid drinking the water and either use less safe water or spend a lot of money to secure
It
an
can
alternative
smell
supply.
and it can taste off.
Okay, so there's a whole graph. We'll share the link and then you can go and look at the graph that measures the turbidity. At our Durban tap, we have yet to find a turbidity count higher than 0.6, and in Johannesburg, the maximum was 0.63. At our Cape Town tap, our lowest count so far was 2.1, and twice that number approached 5. That is interesting.
Yep.
In Bloemfontein, for water supplied by the Mangaung Metro, we measured a maximum turbidity of 5.46 at our sample tap. But we have also had a sample come in at 1.16 the very next
So Cape
week.
Town seems worse than that, actually.
You know,
the worst in the country for turbidity. That's interesting, because our water supply does come from Volvlei and Wemmershoek, mainly. If it was in an affluent area, I wonder what treatment it went through. If it went through, came from one of the reservoirs in Cape Town directly. So it all depends on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like we've said, we've had tap water across the country. It definitely tastes different from one town to the next, and I definitely have my preferences. The more inland you go, the weirder it tastes to me. And I don't think that has anything to do with cleanliness or anything like that. But, you know, it's not so much this. It's great that in South Africa, in a developing country, we have good quality drinking water that comes out of a tap. I think that, from what I've heard, far supersedes what's happening in first world countries. And my concern is how safe...
These are in cities.
Yeah, in cities. How safe are the water sources and the water treatment plants? How susceptible or weak are they to people with ill intent? And that's another topic altogether.
They are completely open to abuse in any way possible. That I know for a fact. They're not set up for protection. They're not guarded. Especially, you can dump anything with a drone into any of those places.
That is a terrifying thought.
Yeah. But that's not the topic for today. It's a fact that News 24 has been testing these sites, and generally for unhealthy bacteria or things that can make you really sick, we are okay in the cities. Outside the cities, it's a complete and utter nightmare. And this is important to understand. What does this tell us? Move to the city, people.
Definitely.
You'll have better drinking water.
Yes.
You see what's happening here?
Yes.
Encouraging people to move to the cities, because outside the cities, they are looking at nothing.
Yes, especially because metros will try to become energy independent as well.
Yeah, so it's Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, Durban, Bloem, and Kibera, or PE.
So 6 of the 8 metros, they tested the water. Fascinating. So there's an entire website dedicated to this project, which you can go and look at, and it's very, very interesting to see what the situation is. And if you don't live in a metro, and if you live out in the middle of nowhere, and we know quite a lot of our subscribers do, what do you do for water? Can you use the tap water? And if not, what is your alternative means of drinking water? Let us know in the comments.
But yeah, they say our Cape Town site has a heterotroph red flag. Heterotrophic plate count is not a good indicator for water safety, says the World Health Organization, but it can help diagnose aesthetic problems and can point to the ability of water to host slime and mold as well as bacteria of all kinds. The count is measured in colony forming units per unit. South African standards require a CFU count of 1,000 or less. At our Bloemfontein taps, we detected some such units, but well below the acceptable range. One of our samples in Cape Town came perilously close to that limit. Our water we have sampled there has consistently showed a higher count than any other city. So it just shows that one needs to be careful. Consider these things. Don't just assume that your drinking water is safe. And I think that'll be a theme on this channel. Just make sure that you have safe drinking water in your home at any given point in time, that if there is a problem or an issue, you can fall back on that for drinking.
Thanks so much. Please subscribe to this channel if you want to get more videos like this. Let us know in the comments what you do for water, especially if you live in a more rural area of South Africa. And what does your water taste like? Do you even drink tap water?
Yeah, and do you have water backup plans? Do you have some drinking water in case of a pipe burst or the pumps failing or anything like that? The reservoir's running dry.
Yes, get rainwater tanks if you can.
Yeah, also just some storage in bottles, even if it's 2 liter cool drink bottles. Tell us what you've done, what you already have.
When it pours with rain, it's sad to see how much water goes to waste.
Yeah, we're not a water scarce country. We just don't store water
We're an
properly.
anti-water collecting country.
Yes, something like that.
Yes, so this is obviously something we need to survive. We can't live very long without water. So it's a serious topic, and we'd love to hear your feedback in the comments.